Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob Blodgett, and I'm joined by...
Andrew Hans. Thank you, Jacob. Anyway, we're about to talk about the news segment for October 22nd.
So what do we have first? I think this is the most important thing that's going to be happening within these 2 weeks.
Yes, it is. We have advising registrations for the spring, so you guys better get on that.
Yeah, go and talk to your advisor. Make sure that everything is going to be planned out for the spring because it's going on from today until the end of next week. That's not a lot of time. You need to schedule an appointment with your advisor and make sure you get to those classes. Otherwise, you could miss it, and that could be
Not good.
That would not be good. I mean, if you miss something that you have to have, then that can set you back a whole nother year
Yep.
or another semester
Okay.
at least.
On a more positive note, our next segment is going to be about the foosball tournament happening on Wednesday, October 24th at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the rec room.
So if you feel like you're good at foosball, then all of your friends or anyone else here at Reinhardt, prove it. Register for the tournament. I don't even think you have to register.
Yeah,
you
you just show
walk
up.
in.
You just show up.
You can just go ahead, walk in, and prove that you are the better foosball player. Also on that day, starting at 7 o'clock, is a community event at the library with the rising star poet Sarah Perkle Hughes, and she will be there discussing poetry, some of her own poetry, and basically how to write poetry better. You know, if you are interested in that, swing by the library. Then on this Thursday, we have...
Dodgeball. That's going to be at the Kint White Stadium, my bad. And, come on out. It's a dodgeball. We're going to have a tournament.
So if you didn't win at foosball, or if you say, foosball's not my thing, but your thing is throwing dodgeballs at people very hard, then go down there and prove that you're the best dodgeball player. I know that I would win against Drew.
Oh, you wish. Okay. Also that day, later at night at 10 p.m., we have the improv show. It's the Excuse to Laugh improv show. It's going to be in the Black Box Theater from 10 to 11 p.m. So come on down if you want to get a laugh.
They're doing a lot of great things in that new Black Box Theater. It's amazing how well that we're adapting to it, and how well it's adapting to it. How well people are. Let's go back.
To it,
Yeah.
It's like it's always been part of the school.
Yeah, it is, and it's great. And I think that a lot of our plays and everything else that's come out of there so far this year have been amazing.
Yeah. This coming Thursday, we also have the University Opera going to be here at the FPAC in the Flint Hall. So, students get in for free. So, if you're a student and you're interested in opera, come on down at 7:30.
Yeah, come on down, support the university, support it any way you can. Going to any of these shows is just a big help to the community, to the people who create these shows. It's just a good excuse to just get away and to enjoy some of the culture that Reinhardt offers, and it's simply amazing to be a part of.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good way to learn to meet new people and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, that'll be the end of our news segment. Don't forget to check us out on our various social medias at RU Eagle Eye. And don't also forget to check out the RU Eagle Eye webpage where we post all our news articles and the podcast itself. Anyway, this has been Andrew Hans.
Jacob Blodgett. Thanks for listening. Have a good week.
I'm Samuel McDade, and
this is Tyler Goins.
This is Arius Gilstrap.
And we're talking about a conversation that kind of came to our minds about diversity within inside the classroom. We kind of came to a conclusion. It's kind of interesting that do professors really know the students on our campus? This is not high school. We're not really in a district zone. Any bus can come pick us up. We if you can look at the back of our cars, we all have a different color sticker up there. Parking decals. And one thing that's kind of interesting is the blue ones, which is commuters. Where are they going? So for me, seeing that the commuters, that's a whole different lifestyle outside of living a college life. So the discussion is, when it comes to reporting your life to a professor, do you feel like, well, I'm going to ask you, Arius, first. Do you feel like you can write something that a professor can relate with?
To a certain extent. For example, I know some of my professors are like, they do research and they experience their life because of their age or they've been through college, so they probably seen other students maybe like us, but it's to a point because you still haven't lived it. For example, somebody in my district, in my school area, she grew up next door to me or down the street, so she be like, I know exactly what he talking about. I can relate to that. I see where he coming from. Where in college, it's like people from different areas, and like you can try to, but to a certain extent, it's like you just don't get it. It's just certain like music. I like country music, but it's a millions of people that's like, nah, I'm not feeling country music.
So when it comes to in the classroom, do you feel like it's fair? You have to appeal to something that professor may understand.
It's definitely harder because for like you have to like if somebody put this much about 10% in, you gonna have to pay 20%. You have to give extra just to so put your point across and do the assignment.
Get
at the
a
same
full
time.
understanding.
Just for them to
gotcha.
understand it.
Yeah.
It's just for them to understand it. So say if somebody's from overseas, and because there's a lot of international students here at Reinhardt.
Right.
So if they come overseas and here, and it's very hard for them to relate to other people and even teachers. So, and that makes it, and the teachers can understand. They try to understand the students, but it doesn't work that well.
Yeah, but whose fault is that? It's not. I don't think it's anything. You can't point fingers at it.
Right.
I don't feel like it's the professor's responsibility when it comes. I guess you can't really. When it comes to math, a person background is kind of hidden. When it comes to science, it's hidden. When it comes to history is a trigger point. You know,
Yeah.
every single time. You know, when you talk about slavery in class, you know, if you are a descendant of, or possibly sorry, if you're a descendant of a slave, or like I said, possibly you kind of get like a feeling in your stomach, like, okay, so what can I say that's not going to offend anyone in this room, even though I may have felt offended myself. But for instance, if you look around in the departments, you don't really see a lot of diversity. You see Caucasians, a few African Americans, but and at the end of the day, the ratio is not really even. So do you guys agree with that? The ratio is not really even when it comes to the staff members and race-wise.
Staff members.
Staff member race-wise. Sorry, guys.
Students, I know there's so many different.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah,
Staff members.
Yeah, staff member wise.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so staff member wise, so student wise, in the classroom, how do you relate to a professor without crossing boundaries and lines? Do you feel like it should be passed on, should be ignored? Let's just say all grammar is in contact, like everything is perfect grammar wise and all that. What do you say? Do you feel like it should be more lenient to your story? Because you might tell a story of tragic, then another man might tell a story of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
But if the professor is more of somebody who grew up on the tragic side, let's say, for instance, they're going to understand the tragic side more, and to the wealth is just like another paper from another wealthy guy.
Yeah.
You know? So
They should still hear everybody's opinion, though.
Yeah.
That's why the teachers in the beginning of the year, they always try to get to know your background, but I think they should go deeper
Yeah.
into knowing you.
that generic paperwork.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Instead of,
Email address.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
What's your major? That stuff like that.
Say one thing, two things about you. Like,
Yeah.
that's not gonna tell my story. Like, I know you mentioned earlier, it's like not their fault. It's not their responsibility. Now I was thinking about that. I agreed with you for that point. Then when you said your next thing, I started thinking. I was like, but it is, because like they signed up for it. They signed up to teach, not high school but college. So your teaching, your lecturing has to be on a different understanding than that. So you have to, and then especially if you've been here long enough, you know to adapt, to be more understanding, to try to dig deeper to see what this student is talking about.
I also think being in a smaller school, you kind of feel as though you should be more connected with your professors. I'm not going to say
Exactly.
to be
Yeah.
baby or pampered, but we see each other all the time.
You go to a bigger college, go to Georgia Tech, Georgia Southern, something like that.
Yeah.
The professor doesn't even know who you are because there's 150 kids in their class.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy when
That's
you
just
can
one
see.
class.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you can see a professor Facebook post pop up over something right away, you're at a small school, and you know I like it here, but my high school is small. Yeah, but I just feel as being so close together, I feel like it should be a better understanding, especially since there's so many group of kids rolling in and out of here. I'm not saying you have to adjust right away, but at the same time, you can't really stick to your guns and just shoot beeline to the right when a student is slightly explaining himself differently
Yeah, in a
because
different
that's the
way.
only way he or she knows how to
Yeah.
express it.
Yeah.
I feel that every teacher should get closer to the students. That's my personal opinion.
All right, so can we flip it real quick? We're gonna flip this real quick. So
All right, what you got?
HBCUs, we were talking about that.
Okay.
So let's just put this school into an HBCU environment.
Historical Black College.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about
Or
yeah, thank you.
university?
Yeah,
Okay.
So, here if we talk about the story of a hard life,
Yeah.
your classmate that relates to you. So say Arius and I, we're African American males. So if I say something a reference, you're gonna laugh because you're gonna be able to understand it,
I got you.
But to the professor, it's just like why are you guys having
Yeah.
fun in our class?
Yeah.
So
I
now
see, I
let's
see.
flip this over to an HBCU.
Okay.
So if I'm talking to my HBCU professor, he's laughing, this and that. But what if he gives you a failing grade? Do you still feel like he's not relating, or you feel like you're just not being professional at the time?
Huh.
See, now Now
Yeah.
it brings up a different question. Now,
Yeah.
is it just like, if not relating, is it a fine line between not relating and doing something professional?
Yeah.
And even for HBCU, like, say you, on the other hand, now you're telling the odd story out. You're the odd story out.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
around. Okay, HBCUs allows different races, and
Yeah.
of course, you gotta
Exactly.
put that out there. But now your story's the odd one out. You're the minority now.
Yeah.
So do you feel like the professor should also?
I feel like you should still try to understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, like so if you have a struggle and your struggle is like the least of everybody in the room,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be graded lower. Your grade shouldn't be lower than everybody else because of it.
Because of
if,
that reason.
if you
Exactly.
still
But-
input it that correctly, then it shouldn't be no
Yeah.
decrease in grade because of it.
But that's another thing. Like we said, you can't really point fingers, but that's what I'm looking for, the line of being professional. Do you think somebody's life story can be considered unprofessional, be told, and that's why?
Can it be judged?
Yeah, and it's just like that's why it's so unrelatable, because like you can't tell this story without the
Yeah.
the details that will make you feel uncomfortable, but at the same
Yeah.
time you're presenting this.
I mean, it's your story. So,
Yeah, it's your story, and the way you learn, the way you speak. You don't mean any disrespect or anything, but it's just
It's different from everybody else.
yeah. So exactly.
Yeah.
So we all, as a community, I feel like we all greet each other differently. Like one person might high five, the other person I might just nod my head and keep on walking. But we adjust to each other. So to a professor, can you really sit down and look at them, change their mood from here to there to here to there, depending on what student walks inside the classroom, to understand them? I'm not talking about if that professor's mad at that student. That's different.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, like, just to adjust to that student, to their understanding, like, if you're going through something, a professor should be able to read.
See that.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, instead of, I'm not saying take it back any less work or take back more work or anything, but it's just they have to relate to what's going on. Even to throw race out of it, just relate to being back in college, which is kind of funny because
Teachers have been through it, so they know what
yeah,
we're.
Yeah.
it's like, and I guess it's gonna help us, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you just wanna.
Touch on that. I don't like the fact that like people. So it's professors, especially the new announced crown professor. It's like, oh, I know y'all went to. I had to do this and then that's this. Why keep that tradition going if it's a bad thing? Why not switch it up? Like now, the ball's in your court. You get to make the rules. You get to make it not easier but better. We're not trying
Yeah.
we don't want to make it easier. We want the same experience, good, bad, whatever. But you don't have to do the same thing because it's not working as well.
Like help us through it.
Yeah, like you saying you went to the same thing. Just because you went through the same thing, that don't mean the next person should. We should learn from that and do something
Yeah.
different.
Don't make it worse on
Yeah.
the upcoming generation.
Yeah, it's just you wanna, as a professor, I feel like, not as a professor, but as a professor, I feel like you will want to bring more creativity inside the classroom because this is a job. You got to show up. You have to show up.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna be here, make it entertaining. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it's just a guideline to follow, and that's the lines of being professional, or is it just that's just the way this community is. It's just straight by the book, and this is a well-established school. This school has history to it,
It's
and
growing.
we have previous
Yeah, it's growing in population, like people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Every
lot
year.
of support coming here. It's a lot of the names coming up and great
Donors.
football teams, but
Yeah. Shout out to track team.
as many people are coming to support Reinhardt, you would think that more understanding would come here.
Yeah. It's like
Absolutely.
it's the instance where more stuff happening, but certain people are stuck. So it's changing around them, but they're still stuck in their bubble, so they don't notice the change. So
So do you feel like
Like,
even
what do you mean? What do you mean by
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
So-
that's I can.
so let's say okay, say you're in college, you graduate. You used to like social media. So
Yeah.
you're gonna go. So in a job's gonna want you. Say it's like an older somebody who just finished college, 30, and like he can do the job. Normally he'll do the job better than you, but so he's doing the job better than you, right? So but then they hit him with some up to date millennial stuff.
Technology wise.
Yeah, technology wise. So he has a good center and know what's the center of it, but he can't adapt to the outside, or he's not putting the effort to adapt to it. So he's getting left behind, or he's not bothered. So he's never going to grow because he's not willing to see the new stuff. So I'm saying, so he's limited himself to just the traditional. When
Okay,
you're not gonna grow if you just stick to the same.
so
thing.
you saying as a professional, as a professor,
Yeah.
they should look outside the box to
Yeah.
enlighten themselves
I don't
more.
think you can
to-
still do the same traditional teaching in today's time. I just don't believe like
And that comes back to becoming closer with the students.
yeah.
That's
It's
what
just
it all
like
falls back
I
to.
honestly feel you can learn from like the student. Like I feel like the best professor will learn something at the end of, especially at a smaller school. They'll learn something, and then it
Yeah, you can
naturally
always
be
keep
a
learning.
be a better professor.
That's very true.
Everybody's an open book, and I think as students, you're kind of forced to learn your professor.
Yeah, you
You
have
know,
to, you have
like-
to see your professor's view.
You
Yeah.
have no choice as a student to not know your professor.
Yeah.
They have a reason not to know us because maybe it's a lot of students they have.
Yeah.
But as speaking for the smaller departments and all that stuff,
Mhm.
you feel as though it's a connection there. I'm not gonna say I don't have any connection. I have connections with many of my professors.
Same. Yeah.
But some professors, like, even though it's no beef. I'm not. What's a professional word for beef?
It's no
Altercation?
No.
Nah.
Altercation, yeah.
Yeah, let's
Argument?
go with that. Okay, cool. There's no altercations in between me and any professors or anything, but I just know if anything when I'm working on something for them, I just know I can't be myself. When I say be myself, I don't mean like being all out there and outrageous and anything. I'm saying being myself. I can't say what I want to say, even
Can
though.
put your personality into your project or something.
Yes, and so if you do something, you like, oh, that's his work. Like I know that's his work 'cause that's his thing.
That's his style.
That's his style of work.
Mhm.
I feel like that should be acceptable as long as you follow the guidelines inside the rubrics and all that stuff. It's just like it's the language. I think it's the language, the style of language we speak. I'm not talking about as in a different language. I'm talking about our dialect is slightly different when it comes to different professors.
Yeah.
It's the slang between it. It's just
Some of the professors understand it, and some don't.
yeah. So
And they grade by like that. So say if you're writing an essay, if you're not the best at essays and you speak the way you write, they're gonna
Preaching to the choir.
like
It's hard. Like,
okay. Wait, that's
and
why I
then-
want to draw the line again. We're not saying like you can just be all outraged and write anything you want.
Yeah,
that'll make
but
sense. But just yes.
Yeah.
So and
So they have to see where we're coming from. Like we're trying,
Yeah.
especially when writing essays and stuff like that.
It's like another thing. I want to defer from that, but like another thing is like you can say all you want. Yeah, I can help you. But we're humans. Like we can tell when you just saying that.
You can
And
help-
you,
yeah,
But if I go to your office or I talk to you, and you just like, yeah,
trying to hurry up, get you out of
yeah,
there.
You just telling me your opinion the whole time. I'm not gonna come back to you because I feel like I still didn't get nothing out
You're
of
not
this. Like
learning
I want you
anything.
to like genuine help me. Like see this what I'm telling you. Understand that. Then fix the
it's
problem.
pushing. I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna name drop, but it's actually something pretty cool this professor said.
Huh.
All right. You're looking at me. You like he's about to say it. No, I'm not
I
gonna
didn't
name
say
drop. It's actually
nothing.
pretty cool though.
What you got?
This professor told me that if you need help, you cannot go. You if you need to edit a paper, okay, you can go to the CSS center, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
because they know how to edit a
They
paper.
all talk about that.
But when you need to understand the context of a course, you can't go there. You have to go to that actual professor. So
Yeah.
you can't push if that professor's pushing you away. It's just like that's setting you up more for a higher rate to fail.
I agree with that. I feel
See,
like
yeah, I
What is
was-
it? CCS Center is what it's called.
What
is it called?
CSS.
If you
CSS,
need help,
yeah.
guys, it's called the CSS,
CSS
by the way,
too.
not
Yeah.
the CC.
Where's it located, Sam?
Bottom of
Tarkly, Lawson.
Bottom of Lawson.
And
Bottom of Lawson.
it's in a weird
Yeah.
place. It's-
Yeah.
But they tell you to go there to get help. But why don't they personally help you or
Yeah.
find
Well-
time to improve your skills that you're working on?
Well, that's the thing is very from case to case. You know, you can't. From case to case, you gotta know. You might be a good worker. You know, you might just okay. So I can help this person out right here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because you need help with the content. Is you need to edit a paper and they don't have time. You can't expect them to edit your paper for you. That's when the CSS.
It's 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like I guess one of the final points. What we talking about can relate to this. Like they can look at this and someone can be like, well, y'all was just playing around. No, this is real issues that we had on our heart, on our mind, that we felt like we should talk about it. Just because we didn't talk about in a way that somebody else, like a traditional podcast or our professors might not talk about it at a business table or something like that. We talked about it like this. We still got our point across. We still understand his point of view, your point of view,
Yeah.
stuff like
We
that.
can relate, even though it's not necessarily on that higher professional level. You know, we're communicating. We're being human beings,
Yeah.
and I think that's what we're failing as a community of not acting with each other as human beings, but more as robots of, you know, just hey, how are you doing? You know, it's just and
Hope you're having a good day. See ya. So,
yeah. But other than that, we like to thank everyone and shout out
Eagle Nest.
Eagle Nest. We call it the Eagle Nest. It's the Eagle Eye. So
The Eagle Eye.
I guess we're gonna sign out now and
Shout
follow
out to-
all the Eagle Eye social media and
Funk Heritage Center Museum.
yeah, that's a good one. And I'm Samuel McDade.
It's Tyler Goins.
Here's Gilstrap.
All right, well, this is it for us, and we see you guys again some other time.